going to be going through the main points and policies of the Just 10 Enterprises Handbook. Just 10 Enterprises consists of the Chick-fil-A's on Central Avenue and Airport Highway. So if you work in either of those two restaurants, you are expected to follow these policies. First off, we have at-will employment. So if you work with us, you are under at-will employment. What that means is that we can terminate your employment at any time, and you also can quit and terminate your employment with us at any time. Next, we'll talk about the civility, equal employment opportunity, and non-harassment policy. So we're very committed to maintaining a positive work environment. We're trying to treat everyone with honor, dignity, and respect in the workplace. What that means is that at the restaurant we have very specific policies. So we don't use profane language in the restaurant. We treat everyone very respectfully. We try to abstain from any hurtful gossip. So we really try to maintain a positive work environment. So everyone's expected to contribute to that. We do have a very specific path set up at the restaurant. So you kind of set your own ceiling. If you want to kind of move up, we have very specific ways you can do that. So talk to your leaders about compensation and how you can move up. We'll talk about scheduling next. So it's really important that we're putting 2 weeks notice in for any sort of availability requests, time off requests that we make. We'll do all of these in this app called Hot Schedules that we use at the restaurant. Hot Schedules is what everyone uses, and we'll show you how to use it at orientation. So you'll hear a lot more talk about Hot Schedules later. It's really important for required availability that you have either Friday or Saturday available, because those are our 2 busiest days, and it's also expected that you can open or close 2 days a week. It's important that any availability changes are put in 2 weeks ahead of time, and the 2 weeks notice also applies to any sort of time off requests that you make. You're given a 30-minute break if you work 5 hours in a shift. During your break, we give everyone $9 of free food. So you can get this before you come into work, after you come into work, or during your break. $9 of free food. We'll show you how to ring it up when you train with us. You can ring up your food, and we'll help you out with that. We'll talk about appearance policy and uniform policy next. A big one is undergarments. So men are all required to wear a white or solid black t-shirt underneath their uniform. So that's whether you work in the front of house and you wear a polo, you have to wear a white t-shirt or black t-shirt, and same thing in the kitchen. For women up front, it's optional. You do not have to wear an undershirt if you don't want to. Other options are you could wear a camisole or tank top, but again, the white or black t-shirt also works. If you work in the kitchen, you have to wear a white or a black t-shirt no matter what. For jewelry, this is a big one. The only visible piercings that are allowed are limited to 2 plain studs in the earlobe. So no other visible piercings are allowed. And the reason for that is because it's a food safety policy. So if there's any gemstones or any sort of jewels affixed to the earring, it could fall into the food and it could be a potential food safety hazard. So we're gonna try to stay away from that. Same thing with wedding bands, right? If you wear a ring, it has to be limited to just a band. So no gemstone or jewel affixed to it. If you work in the front of house, you are allowed to wear a watch. If you work in the food prep areas in the kitchen, then you aren't allowed to wear a watch for food safety reasons. And if you wear a necklace, you just gotta make sure it's tucked inside of your shirt. So we'll talk about our point system next. The way points work, if you get 14 points, that will result in a 1-week suspension. And then if you get 24 points, that's termination. A big way to avoid a lot of the small points has to do with our appearance and uniform policy. So a lot of the, any sort of uniform violations, or if you show up late to your shift, those can all result in 1 or 2 point violations. So those are easy ways to kind of avoid the small points that kind of add up. It's really important if you can't make one of your shifts that you're at least calling us and letting us know. Not showing up to one of your shifts is 4 points. But if you don't call or let anyone let anyone know, that's 24 points and immediate termination. So make sure you let us know if you can't show up to your shift. We also have a non-smoking policy at the restaurant. It's really important that we're not smoking near or inside of any of the restaurant facilities. And also, we are not allowed to show up smelling like smoke to work. If you show up to work and you smell like smoke at all, a leader will ask you to leave. No cell phone usage is allowed while you're working on shift, so make sure you guys are keeping those away. If you have a specific reason, like an emergency or any sort of specific reason that you would need to use your cell phone, talk to your leader and see if you can arrange something. But for the most part, just kind of limit cell phone usage to when you're on break. Safety and workers' comp, we really want to make sure we're keeping a safe work environment, so make sure we're cleaning up any sort of spills in the restaurant, make sure we're coming into work with non-slip shoes, so we're not falling everywhere and we're trying to stay safe. If you happen to get injured in the restaurant, let a leader know as soon as possible so we can document it, and potentially we'll be able to help you out with workers' comp if you have any sort of medical bills related to a work-related injury. Resignation, if you choose to resign with us, we would just ask that you give us a 2 weeks notice beforehand, just to let us know and give us a little extra time to compensate for your loss. We have a very important health policy also. It's really important that we're keeping everyone safe. So if you have any sort of sickness or any sort of symptoms, let a leader know so you don't come into work with those symptoms. You will be given a 4-point write-up, but if you get a doctor's note, we can waive those points for you. If you have any COVID-19 related symptoms, we would have you stay out 10 days until you get that negative test and you're totally free to come back into work. So that's the outline of the main points of the Just 10 Enterprises Handbook. Once again, you're expected to know, you expect to read the handbook for yourself and kind of know the rest of it, but these are just kind of the main points.